Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, and today is Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. This is my third time trying to record this intro because first time something went wrong with my recording. Second time, there was a little fly that caused me a minor panic thinking it might be a moth. Third time, the fly is no more. Let's hope we can just get through this podcast. So I have some yarny adventures for you guys this week. I've done knitting, I've done crochet, I've done spinning, which makes me very, very excited. So we'll chat about all of these things. But first, what I'm wearing today is the Celeste Sweater by Eri Shimizu. I knit this, I think, 1.5 years ago. And I remember this yarn. I really wanted to have this yarn for a long time, and I bought it during the first lockdown, so 2020 when I was pregnant. This is Hedgehog Fibers in the Artifact colorway, and I'm not sure if you can see, but it's got these beautiful sort of pink speckles on a browny, beigey, grey base, and I was obsessed with this colorway, so I got that in 2020, and I could only get it on the singles base. And you know, so many people tell you can't knit sweaters or you shouldn't knit garments out of singles yarns because they will pill, and yes, there is some truth to it. But this is my second sweater knit out of a merino singles yarn, and it's lovely. And it actually hasn't, it just goes a little bit fuzzy, but I've had a lot of plaid yarns that have pilled so much worse than this. This just creates a bit of a fuzz, so you have to be okay with that. But I've been wearing this a lot, and I really, really like it. So yeah, that is what I'm wearing today, and I've been meaning to talk about this because I am definitely going sort of through my wardrobe at the moment and thinking about what garments I like to wear, which ones suit my lifestyle, my choices in clothing, rather than just something I see on like Instagram and think it's pretty, but I don't really wear it. And this one, it was a bit of a pain to knit because it's essentially a ribbed sweater. But I wear it so much, and it's out of a superwash merino singles yarn, which means it's light, it's soft, it's very drapey. You can see I would like more fitted sleeves, but that is probably my choice and not the designer's choice, because I tend to knit sleeves and do shaping. I don't tend to follow patterns for that. But yeah, it's worn really well, and I really like it. So that's what I'm wearing today, and we have a lot to talk about. So should we start with a finished object, which is crochet? And I promise after that we'll only have knitting. So if you're not a crochet person, you can get through this, or you can just fast forward. So a bit of a story up front. One of my best friends here in the UK, whose son is like my son's best friend, they're expecting their third baby, which makes me so excited. Yeah, so as soon as she told me the same day, I was like, I can make all the crafty baby things. And she's the sort of person who would also appreciate them a lot. So I am so excited. So I was thinking, I'll make the baby like a sweater and a blanket or something. And then I started thinking whether I could just finish one of my languishing blanket whips, because I have a couple of really old blanket whips that realistically I knew I wasn't ever going to finish into a proper sort of adult sized blanket. And I am so happy to say I have finished this. Remember this? I started this in maybe 2021? Maybe. Definitely in the UK, but before we moved, a long time ago. And I featured this blanket on a blanket episode that I did a couple of months ago. And honestly, I was sure I was never going to finish this. But then, baby blank is like, how much do I actually still need to do on this to finish it off? And so this is the Battenburg Blanket by, I think, Sandra of Cherry Heart Crochet. And so you make these squares and you join them as you go. I did this years and years ago, and so I laid it all out, and I had done maybe up to here. So I'd done maybe like 3/4 of this sort of baby size blanket already. And then I had a couple of single squares, because I remember I used to just do a couple of squares at a time. I took this on holiday twice, so this tells you how old this project is. So I think I only had to do 2 colored squares, and then I just had a ton of joining to do. So I had to do a ton of the beige squares, but then I just squared it off. So it did take up a fair amount of my crafting time, and this blanket is not huge. But I think for a baby, for like a stroller blanket, it's going to be really, really nice. So I finished off the squares, and then I just improvised. I did a couple of treble or double crochet rounds around the whole blanket, and then I finished it off with this shell stitch, which this is the stitch that I used on my son's blanket a couple of years ago as well, and I really like it, and it's also very, very simple to do. And I think the result is really nice. I haven't washed this, I haven't blocked it. There are a lot of ends, but most of them are crocheted in. I think most of them I can just snip off, but I'm going to wash and block it first, and then I need to go through and see if there are any that I need to weave in, but I don't think there are. I think literally all I need to do is snip them off. And how cute is this? I'm so happy, to have this out of stash. This is like a big win in terms of getting things done. A really old hibernating whip is finished, and I think it looks really cute. I think this could be, I don't really believe in colors for genders anyways, but even if they do, I think this would work for either gender. I think the sort of slightly frilly edge sort of counterbalances what you would maybe traditionally call more boys' colors. Again, I don't believe in that, but people do. And yeah, I love it. The yarn that was used for this is Schreepjes Stone Washed, which I really enjoy. But I also remembered when working on this that the cotton in this ruins my hands. It is not fun for me to crochet with. And I do feel bad about crocheting with a fair amount of acrylic yarn, but this just proved it to me. My hands just don't deal well with this, and that's also the reason why I chose. I was thinking about originally adding on another row of squares, but I chose not to do it because it's not worth messing up my hands for this. So because this is mostly cotton, it's quite heavy. I think it's about 400 or 450 grams for a baby blanket. But it is done. I love it. And yeah, unexpected finished object for probably you and me both. So there you go. That is my only finished object for this week. And like I said, I'm just going to show you sort of interesting things that I've actually made progress on. So I'm not going to show everything. But I have found my perfect my perfect whip baskets, by the way. I know some of you were laughing at my project box thing a couple of weeks ago, but I really enjoy having whips and baskets, and then I can just have everything out and ready to go. So in here I have my Andrea Maori stripes sweater. I've talked about it at length. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I did want to show you I've made a lot of progress on the body. So I think I only have, according to my measurements, not the pattern's measurements, I have about maybe 2.5 inches to go, and then I can do the ribbing. So this is where we are. I think it's quite pretty. I still really like it. I'm still using La Mana Merida yarn, which is a wool, silk, and nylon fingering weight yarn in 5 different colors. And once again, I don't have tons of it left, but I also know I won't need tons for sleeves. So I'm just going to finish the body and then divide whatever I have left in terms of yarn by 2. Weigh it all out and see if I'm going to have enough to make 3/4 length sleeves, maybe full length. I'm thinking 3/4 length could be quite nice because it's going to be a very light sweater anyways. I'm thinking it'll be my sensible office sweater because obviously it's quite neutral. And with the silk, the yarn it has a bit of a sheen. It's not really coming across, but I think it'll be a nice sort of light layering piece, and then the stripes do make it fun, because you need a bit of fun, right? So yeah, Andrea Murray striped sweater. Essentially, I'm just doing exactly what I did for my first 2 versions of this, except for one of the previous versions I knit a stripeless version. But yeah, I picked the same size, which I think is size 3. I picked the same needles, which are 3.25 millimeter, I believe. Modified the short rows a little bit, but not massively. And yeah, there we are. Next up on the sweater front, I have also worked on my Celeste sweater. So this is the Celeste by Petite Knit. It's a color work yoke. It's really, really fun. I am using Drops Daisy, which is a 100% non-superwash wool. Although I would argue this feels like superwash, not in a negative way, but it's extremely soft and very bouncy. I'm not sure how they produce this stuff, but it is extra fine merino wool. I'm pretty sure I checked that drops don't do mulesing. I hope I'm not messing that up, but I did check a while ago. So yeah, I quite like it. More importantly, I just finished, I think, whatever ball I was on for the body. So I finished, and when I ran out of yarn, I decided to do a sleeve. Because as you may or may not remember, I have 3 sweaters on the go, and I was on Body Island for all 3 of them. So I decided to take a break with one of them and knit a sleeve. So this is where we are. Beautiful sleeve. I did my own shaping. And essentially, again, I've just run out of yarn, and I need to find where I have my other balls of yarn actually. They're somewhere around in my house. I just need to find them. Then I will try this on and see how much more I need to do before I start the ribbing on the sleeve. Yeah, so Celeste sweater, we have 1 sleeve. I think I might just get through the other sleeve as well, and then they will be done. And then I can just work on the body and hopefully finish this off in the not too distant future. Although saying that, I mean, it is March. It is a colorwork sweater. I'm not going to be wearing this very soon, very much. So there's no immediate rush. But yeah, this is where we are. I didn't touch my 3rd sweater because there's only so much knitting you can do. And also I had to, of course, cast on a new project. So last week I mentioned that I just had this idea. I need to make myself another Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West. I mentioned that I made one before, so I have the pattern. And the first one I made, I sort of made a poor yarn choice, and it never turned out super wearable. But I ordered yarn. I mean, I was going to knit it from Stash, but that didn't work. I really want to make one from Pearl Soho Linen Quill because I'm obsessed. But that would have been quite pricey. And it might still happen. I'm thinking maybe I might order myself Pearl Soho to knit another one if I do like this one. And have that for my birthday cast on. So that could be an option. But for this one, I ordered yarn from Oxford Yarn Store, and this is the Isaiah Highland Wool. And I was going to bring up the sweater and I forgot, but I made a sweater, a very, very light colorwork sweater, some kind of Jennifer Steingas pattern out of this yarn years ago, and I really like the yarn. It's really nice. It's a light fingering weight yarn, 275 meters per 50 gram. 100% wool, so it's a very light fingering yarn. It is reasonably affordable, non-superwash, and I think I ordered 5 balls of this, 5 50-gram balls of this, and I think the whole shawl, if I manage to eke it out of 50 grams of each color, will cost me around, I think, £32, which I thought was really good, because these shawls, it's a 5-color shawl. If you're gonna use like a hand-dyed or nice higher end 100-gram skein of, indie dyed yarn or whatever, 5 of those, that would be a very pricey shawl, and I'm really happy with the sort of more budget version I've come up with. Budget being relative, of course, but yeah. And look, I've made a lot of progress on this. Hang on, it's getting a bit hard to show because some stitches are on a spare needle, but this is where we are on the Vertices Unite. So this massive section is section number 1. Then you do short rows for section number 2, and then you sort of join it all together with section 3. And I'm close to finishing that section as well. It's very hard to show this, but this is where we are. And isn't it beautiful? I love it. This is like my strawberry and chocolate color palette that I've got going here, and I really, really like it. It's like these pinks with browns and a bit of grey. I really love it, and because it is such a sort of fine yarn, my gauge is way off. I am doing the small size, but I knew and I aimed to have a larger gauge, so this is going to end up bigger than the small size for sure. Hopefully this will mean I get the shawl out of 50 grams per color. If not, I can always order more. It's not the end of the world, but I think I should be fine. And yeah, I love this so much. This is definitely my current sort of color palette. I am definitely feeling like pink, which I think part of that is spring coming. And I'm also really feeling these like rusty brown tones. So if I show you the colors, this is what we're going with. And I love it. I think this one is called chocolate, and I think it's beautiful. This one, I don't know. This one is sand, and I was expecting more of a beigey color, but it's definitely more light gray, but that's fine. The color options with this yarn aren't huge, but I think they work really well together. And yeah, I mean, I have a beige coat, and I think it's gonna look really pretty with that. But yeah, I think this will work with a lot of what I wear, and yeah, I love it. I love it so much. So that is the Vertices Unite by Stephen West. I am using 3.5mm needles, and the garter stitch on a sort of, it's not a big gauge, it's not gapey or anything, but on a slightly looser gauge, it's sort of giving me half and half wrap feels, which is exactly what I was going for. Like, it's going to be quite light because I'm using very fine yarn on a loose gauge, and hopefully it'll still be quite big, so then it can be a large shawl without necessarily wearing, you know, a very heavy piece. And I am very, very happy about this. So I think I'm going to finish this third section very soon. So I'm definitely way over halfway point with this shawl, which is crazy considering I think I started this maybe less than... Actually, I started this 8 days ago. So there you go. Very, very happy with this. And yeah, hopefully I'll have this finished soon. And then, last but not least, we're at 18 minutes. I have some spinning to show you. So yes, I am back at the spinning wheel, and I'm so excited for it. I am, if you don't know, years and years ago, I was quite a prolific spinner. I really spun a lot of yarn. When did I start spinning? Maybe like 8 years ago? Possibly less than that? No, more than that. 9 years ago, I think I started spinning on my Woolmaker's Bliss yarn wheel, which I still love and sort of regret selling. But yeah, I used to spin a lot of yarn, and I mean, I was never brilliant at it, but I used to spin a lot of fine yarns. And then at some point I just sort of moved on to other things, and life got busy, and I sold the wheel. And then when we moved to the UK, I bought myself an Ashford Kiwi, and I never really warmed up with that wheel. I still have it, and I can't bring myself to sell it, but yeah, I'm not sure. But I have, and I've had for a while now, an Ashford eSpinner 3. So I think I've had that for about 5 years as well. And I've finally gotten back to it, and I am so obsessed with spinning again. So I have spun 2 100-gram skeins of yarn, and both of them, annoyingly, they're a Fiber Hut fiber blend, but none of them stated the fibers. So this one I am quite sure is 100% wool, but unfortunately I can't tell you, and I don't know what wool is in here, which is slightly annoying. So note to myself, next time I order from them, if I order from them again, I need to write on the label what the content was, because it did have a name. It had a blend name, but obviously I bought this fiber. I'm using fiber that I bought years and years ago, so I couldn't look it up. It's not on their webpage anymore. But this one has these beautiful shades of like reds and browns. And I have been wanting to knit more with these sort of slightly barber pole yarns. This one isn't hugely, but it has this sort of hand spun effect, which you get if you do a 2-ply and different colors ply together. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. This is about a sport to decay weight. And I'm actually going to cake this up very soon, because I have a couple of handspun cakes that I've caked up recently, and I find it so much easier to work with it. It's just ready to go. I want to knit more with my handspun, and part of that is just having it ready to go so I can play with it more. And I sometimes find it easier to imagine what I could make with things if I have things caked up in skeins, in bowls, so I sort of see how the colors work more. So yeah, this one is finished. Love it. Both of these actually I spun worsted prep, worsted short backwards draw if you're into like the technical aspects of spinning, and then just 2-plied. So this is number 1, and then number 2, literally I have just finished this maybe an hour ago, and I spun this whole thing within like 24 hours. I've been obsessed. So this is another fiber hat blend, and this one is also wool, but I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's some golden sparkle in here, which is really pretty. I would say it's Angelina. And again, I did a 2-ply. I feel like this is slightly finer, but not massively so. So all of my yarns at the moment that I'm spinning, I am sort of using 2-ply, short backward draw, about a sport to decay weight. So ideally, I will eventually have a couple of skeins that I could use together. They won't be the same because fiber content is different, and I'm not spinning them to be exactly the same. But I'm trying to spin more that could have the potential to be combined. So this one I just finished, and I love it. It's coming up a bit more blue. It's a bit more teal in real life, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I can't wait to get this one off the bobbin, wash it, wind it, all of that. I think this one is going to be really, really special, and I will have to find a special project for this. So yeah, I am back at the spinning wheel. I even carried it downstairs last night to watch TV and spin, which never happens, but I am very excited by it. And I've said for years that I like my Ashford E-Spinner 3, but I don't love it. And I feel like after all these years, it is growing on me. I've threatened to sell the Ashford E-Spinner 3 as well for so many years. Maybe it's growing on me. I will say I have ordered a bit of fiber, because I have a stash of really old fiber, but a lot of it I also picked up from these stashes, and are not necessarily what I want to be spinning. I want to, for years I didn't spin with hand-dyed fibers, because if you get it from the wrong dye, sometimes you just get hand-dyed fiber and it's slightly felted, and it is such a nightmare. And at some point I was just like, yeah, right, I'm not doing this anymore. I keep being disappointed. But I do want to spin more barber pole yarns, which of course I can do different ways, but I feel like I want to spin more with hand-dyed fiber again. So I have treated myself a little bit. But yeah, so I'm spinning again. Very happy. I don't think I'll combine these unless some other color comes in and decides it wants to be something together. But I'm also thinking with these yarns, I could combine them with I have a sweater quantity of hand spun already that actually this may go with, because it's like a dark burgundy from John Arbon. But I'm also not against the idea of using hand spun with commercial spun yarn. I think that could be quite nice. So yeah, some spinning plans are on my horizon. I know Andrea Mowry is doing a spin it to knit it, knit along, spin along, whatever, make along at the moment for her traveler collection. And she has a traveler shawl, which is very simple, but it looks really fun to do with handspun because you're sort of knitting in different directions, and maybe I'll think about that. I'm not really a make along, knit along, spin along person. At least not in the most traditional way. I like to join in other people's enthusiasm. So often I'll craft along with other people, but I don't tend to, post things for prizes and all of that stuff. But maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll do it. So yeah, some project ideas, some spinning ideas. I have all the creative juices at the moment. Funnily enough, after finishing the baby blanket, I haven't picked up a crochet hook. I don't think I'm off crochet, but maybe my knitting mojo is coming back a bit, which is also nice. So yeah, there we go. That's what I've been working on. I hope I haven't rushed this episode too much. It's been a busy day, mostly because everything has to happen today in time for me to then watch F1 soon. So it's also been, oh my god, it's been so rainy. I think we've had like 4 days of rain. Like torrential rain. It's been absolutely awful. And unfortunately, I've also been having to run errands and go places and do things. So I've just been walking in the rain for way more than I would like in these past few days. So this weekend is all about just crafting and being inside. And yeah, we did a rainy walk for cake this morning. Also our house, it's not, I wouldn't say it's leaking. Well, it is leaking a teeny tiny bit where we fixed it a few weeks ago. So we're going to have to deal with that as well. But again, the rain has been so awful. I feel like my entire town has flooded. So it's not really surprising. Like, basically, as soon as you leave my house, there's a puddle. And this doesn't usually, like, there has to be a lot of rain for our, like the pavement in front of the house to flood. So anyways, very British weather, I suppose. I am so ready for spring. I am thinking about all the spring knits. I want to make a hot pink mini mock neck tee because I saw someone wearing a store-bought similar top yesterday on TV, and I was like, yes, okay, I've been thinking about the mini mock neck. I'm going to make it this year. I want to make some more lentils. I want to make all the spring things, and I should be making them right now so I can wear them when spring comes. But yeah, I'm still working on my colorwork Celeste Sweater. But yeah, I'm thinking about spring. I'm so ready for spring. I need some sunshine. I need some lighter days. I hope they're here soon. But yeah, I'm just waffling on about the weather now, so I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this episode wasn't too sort of crammed full of random bits and bobs, but I just wanted to get an episode out while I can, while the boys are happy playing Lego downstairs. And yeah, hopefully more crafting to come. So I will maybe see you again next weekend, whenever I see you next. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope wherever you are, you're safe, you're healthy, you're doing well, and you have some yarn to play with. I always love to hear what you're working on. And until I see you again, happy knitting, happy crafting. Bye!